Hi, my name is Jassa Langford of Digital Designs, DD Audio as we're known today. And we're going to be going over a new product launch, the LSS 161s, which is based on studio monitor products that we built through the 80s and 90s. I grew up around audio, so audio was always a big thing in our house. And I remember when I got my first car, I wanted to have a system in that car. And there really wasn't anything that you could just buy in the 80s that was anywhere close to what a home audio system was. So I went out and found those things that they used to build these types of speakers and put them in my car. So at first it was taking guts from what was in speakers and then finding ways to duplicate that to where it fit in my car. And then I had a system that I liked the way that sounded. I wasn't listening so much to what was available at the time. Other people started asking, like, okay, can you help me buy my system? Like, what do you have? I go, well, I put this thing together. Can I have that? So I started finding more of those parts and building component sets and supplying those to people that I knew and coworkers and things. So as a lot of things transpire, one thing leads to another, leads to another. And so I started doing these systems and went to some car audio shops in San Diego. And they liked the way those systems sounded, so I started selling to those guys. And I'd pick up more speakers, made more kits, sell them to them. Went to Los Angeles and started setting up dealers in Los Angeles. These guys order more, so I just kept repeating this process. And one day I got a call from a sales guy in Los Angeles that he had a friend that was an engineer that had a system done at a car audio shop. And he said, I can hear what I've done in my mix better on these car speakers than I hear in my studio. So I'm taking my tapes out to the car to listen and I'm hearing more detail and things. So he asked, can you make these speakers into a home system? Bookshelf speakers, something we can use in a studio. So we made some of those and he showed them around. The stores liked them. They started selling them, and that's how DD Audio was born. So digging deeper into this audio thing, I was a math and science nerd in school. And when I started focusing in on this type of a product, there's a lot to learn. And back in those days, there was no internet. So if you're gonna learn anything, you gotta start doing deep dives. Before I got into the technical side of these things, your research would be down at the library and magazines and articles and reviews of speakers and amplifiers. What makes this good? Why is this better than something else? So in all that research, you're reading people's advertisements. Well, ours is better because we do this to our voice coil. Or ours is better because we do this to our amplifier. Or ours is better because we have this particular common material. So I started thinking to myself, like, what if you just do all of that? What if it isn't just a singular thing to do marketing with? But if these are all based in physics, then what if you just do everything possible to not change the sound as it comes in to as it comes out? And that's where the whole true to the source thing came about in my head. Audio and acoustics is physics. And the least amount that you change it, then the better it becomes. So that became my focus and my drive on all of the components inside this, from the magnet systems, learning about electromagnetism, material science, what type of enclosures to put these in so they have the least amount of signature to the sound to get to the point that what comes in comes out in its purest form. So although music is changed so much today, and the recordings, the way they're recording and the amount of dynamic range that's available, Material science has also grown at the same time. We have a blank slate of what we can create today. And that's where we started off on this project. So 3 years ago, we started to design our new line of components. The first of that series was going to be our C components, which was going to be a state-of-the-art components, but in a compact chassis so that it would fit in virtually any type of vehicle. So today's technology allows us to go through all the phases of a design and optimize those things in that true to the source philosophy that we're founded on and what we believe. So in this speaker here, starting from the input signal, we're using solid copper, gold-plated solid copper binding posts through oxygen-free copper. First is the cabinet design. These are natural walnut veneer over MDF, internally braced. These are double baffles, which rigidly holds all the parts in. There's the vibration is contained. The energy is not being absorbed into the cabinet. It's a rigid structure for these drivers to do their work. The double baffle does an even better job than the rounded baffle of our first speakers, that the edge diffraction is dispersed over a wider frequency range, which means that what you're hearing is more true to the source of the parts and less that you're hearing the cabinet. To get imaging as best possible, the cabinet is as much a part of the system as the drivers are, because our ears hear what's reflected off the fronts of the baffles. So this baffle design helps minimize that added signature that the cabinet might have. The next part of imaging is, it's called a point source, and it's how the interaction of the mid-range and the tweeters work together, and the frequencies that they share and the frequencies that they don't share, and how do those combine and interact together. One of the things that we're able to do today with technology is this tweeter. It's an amazing little tweeter, and they're called broadband devices now. And we're using an aluminum magnesium alloy that's super light, super rigid. This tweeter can play out to 45,000 cycles, which means any of the breakup modes and things that would cause distortion are out of our hearing range. On the other side of that is that we can play it lower than we could ever do on a tweeter back in the day. So we can now have a device that plays over 5 octaves of bandwidth, meaning this tweeter can play down into the vocal range. In some of the videos that we've posted before, this tweeter also has a very cool little diaphragm and the surround attached to it. Because we're playing deeper, the diaphragm has to move much further than a normal diaphragm. So the design of the surround is to allow that diaphragm to move, but not impart any of its own signature to the sound. So this tweeter plays down in this box, the crossover frequencies, 1600 cycles, which does amazing things for the imaging. Like when you're sitting in a room, to just forget that you're listening to speakers. And maybe you're hearing something that you've never heard before, even in your favorite recordings. Because the bandwidth of this tweeter is so wide, it allows us to optimize the design of the woofer. So it doesn't have to play as high, to where it's the mass and the movements of those components become compromised. And this broadband tweeter can do the workload of those frequencies that could do a better job. We now have the ability to tool all of our own parts. So we can tool the cone with its carbon fiber and glass fiber matrix to be optimized for a certain frequency range. We can tool the surround to stop the ringing that would normally happen in a very rigid diaphragm. We can now design crossover networks to smoothly cross these two pieces together, so it's a seamless transition. These cabinets follow our DD box program as far as the venting method goes. This is a very low velocity port design. So no matter how hard the woofer is working, we're not creating turbulence in the port. The bass is deep and the extension is effortless. And you can hear that as the music just seems to fall out of the speaker. So why are we reintroducing the LSS 161s? Because I needed new speakers. There's less than 50 sets available to the US market on this run, so man, you better get your hands on a pair.